What's up, everybody? Welcome to my YouTube channel. In today's video, we're going to talk about and answer the question of, is third-party agency recruiting dead in 2023? For those that don't know me, my name is Patrick Barber. I'm the president and CEO of a third-party recruiting agency called Search Now. I also run, own, and operate the group called Millionaire Recruiter Club, where we help and show new entrepreneurs how to start and grow their own recruiting agency to 6 and 7 figures and beyond. Now, if you are interested in hearing anything and all things about recruiting and staffing or business in general or leadership or how to scale a business, smash that subscribe button. Follow us here on YouTube. I'd also encourage you to join us on Facebook. We have a free private Facebook group called Millionaire Recruiter Club. The link is in the description below. Please join us there. There's tons of really seasoned, experienced, successful recruiters, and we crowdsource and share tons of information about recruiting, about making money in the recruiting business in a stable way. Now, let's get into it. There's a lot of discussions in a bunch of different recruiting circles this year about this being a down year. And that is just, I want to address that head on, because that is flat out not true. Unless you are in a niche that is really, really struggling and not in growth mode. So the data from the BLS, Bureau of Labor Statistics, has been super clear this year. The labor market is white hot and has been all year and likely will continue to be. Now, that's great news for us recruiters. It's not such good news for the battle against inflation and other economic challenges that the country and, quite frankly, the world is facing. However, it is great news and a lot of opportunity for third-party agency recruiters like ourselves. However, it is only good news if you are in the industries that are in high demand for hiring. Unfortunately, we are in a normal market. Now, in the last 2 to 3 years, we were in a very hot market in terms of third-party recruiting because all industries had a very high demand for third-party recruiting services. That is no longer the case. So if you are focused in a niche that is not in growth mode currently, you are feeling like this is the worst year ever, that you could be wiped out and that there's just not a demand for third-party direct hire recruiting services, etc. So if you are in the wrong niche and you are not making data-driven decisions on which niche you're participating in and targeting, then yes, you could feel like we are in a bad spot economically as it relates to the industry that we're in. Conversely, if you are in a hot niche, this is an excellent time to be in this business. And so there's actually a formula that we use to identify really, really hot niches. And so there's 4 components to understanding and identifying a niche that is in super growth mode as it relates to the services that we provide, which are direct hire recruiting services. So let's go through those at a high level. Number 1, the first variable that needs to be present in an industry that you are targeting is it needs to be in pain as it relates to hiring. And when we talk about pain in the recruiting industry, what we are talking about is money. Okay, the pain needs to be centered around some sort of revenue target for the clients and the industries that you are targeting. If you cannot draw a direct or indirect correlation to the pain as it relates to some sort of revenue target within an organization, then they are not in enough pain to want to pay you a premium fee to go and fill that void within their business. Okay. Number 2, they need to be easy to target. They need to be findable. We need to be able to find both decision makers within that industry, and we also need to be able to find the candidates for the roles that are in super high demand within that niche. Now, for the most part, this is not something that we typically struggle with in the recruiting industry. As long as you are dialed in, again, in the right industry and targeting the right roles, there are strategies that you can implement and execute to make sure that it's very easy to find both decision makers on the sales side and ultimately candidates, building your pipelines and your network in your ATS, in your own network on LinkedIn and other platforms to make sure that the people that you need in order to do transactions in this industry are readily available. All right. Number 3, the third most important variable in identifying a hot niche market is they need to have buying power. They need to be able to afford premium fees. Okay, this is super important, and this is actually a major mistake that I see a lot of recruiting agency owners make. and we'll talk about the fourth, which is being in growth mode, but this is one where most people miss and ultimately are in a niche that maybe, yes, there's demand and it's keeping them busy, but the industry and the companies that they are serving cannot afford, they don't have the buying power, the purchasing power in order to afford premium fees. And when I say premium fees, on the low side, what we want to target is at least $20,000 per placement in top line revenue. Okay. So if you're charging a 20% fee, minimum, you're looking at $100,000 a year salary type candidate. Okay. Now, examples of industries that don't check this box, but do check the other three would be industries like restaurants and hospitality, nonprofits, sometimes higher education, sometimes government, etc. And so for those reasons, we want to really try to stay away from those unless that's really something you enjoy and you have a really strong background in. I really encourage you to target industries that can afford premium fees. And here's why. Typically speaking, this isn't always true. I'm going to generalize here a little bit, but typically speaking, it doesn't really matter for the most part if you're recruiting for, let's say, some sort of really highly skilled engineering role or let's say a general manager for a restaurant. Okay. The effort, the leverage, the time, the tools, the investment that you're going to have to make to find both of those candidates is going to be pretty close to the same. The only difference is that one pays a very premium fee and the other one doesn't. Okay. It could be the difference of $20,000 to $30,000 versus $10,000 to $15,000. The average fee in the restaurant and hospitality industry, for example, is around $10,000 per placement, which is not great. So we want to make sure that we are getting as much juice for the squeeze for the efforts that we are putting into our business. Okay, and finally, the creme de la creme, component variable number 4 to identifying a hot niche as it relates to third-party recruiting services. These industries have to be in growth mode, okay? I want to say that again. They have to be growing, all right? And so the way that we target and identify growth industries is through a metric, a KPI called compound annual growth rate, or otherwise known as CAGR. This is such an excellent metric to be able to identify and assess different industries in really the global economy, but I'd recommend you focus primarily in the United States because it is the largest market on the planet. But CAGR is one of the best and most effective tools that we have to be able to assess and identify industries that are in growth mode, okay? And so what we're looking for is we're looking for industries that have a CAGR that exceed the growth of the actual country, which is measured by GDP. And so last year, for those that don't know, in 2022, the US grew their GDP, our GDP was 2.07%. So technically, we're looking for industries that have a CAGR that is higher than 2.07%. Now, I want to caveat this a little bit. If you really want to be in a hot market, you need to look for industries that are well beyond the growth of the country. And so I would recommend you look for industries that are growing at a rate of, let's say, 10% or more. Those are hyper growth industries and typically the hottest niches to be in as a third-party recruiter. Listen, if you found this valuable, I want you to please crush that subscribe button. Follow us here on YouTube. We're posting out content constantly. Also, please join us in our free Facebook group, Millionaire Recruiter Club. Link in the description below. A lot of like-minded recruiters where we also post content and talk about various topics as it relates to starting and growing your recruiting agency. Y'all have a great day and we'll talk to you later.